In this video, I'm going to show you how to add forward graduation to a haircut. Forward graduation is a form of graduation that is cut towards the front of the face. The head on the right has been cut with forward graduation. I'm going to start by spraying down the hair until it's consistently damp. Alternatively, this can be done at the basin with shampoo and conditioner. Using the wide teeth of my cutting comb, I'm going to find the natural parting line through the center of the head, which separates one side of the head from the other. This mannequin head has already been cut with solid form. I'm going to be using this as a reference point for the forward graduation. You can find a step-by-step tutorial for this by visiting the solid form video. To find the highest point of the head, lay your comb on the head, and wherever the balance point is, that's the highest point of the head. I'm now going to separate the back of the head from the front by creating a section that runs from the highest point of the head to just behind the ear where the hairline changes. Secure each section with a clip. Repeat on the other side. Next, I'm going to groom the hair at the back away from the face and secure with clips. This is because I'm only going to be working on the front two zones of the head. As you can see, I'm securing the hair away with a clip and keeping the roots groomed and low on the scalp. This will reduce any unwanted root movement. Before I start cutting any sections of hair, it's important for me to know where and how I'm going to cut the hair. The most important thing to work out when creating forward graduation is to establish a starting point and an end point. This will be your longest point and your shortest point. This will ensure you don't remove too much hair and allow for maximum accuracy. Here I'm assessing the length of the hair and the face shape. To simplify the decision-making process, I break the panel of hair up into thirds. I need to decide if I'm working in the bottom third, middle third, or upper third. On this particular haircut, I've decided I want the hair to sit below the jawline. As you can see here, this means I'll be working right on the cusp of the middle third of this panel. Now that I've established where my shorter point and longest points are, it's simply a case of connecting these 2 points together. Before I start cutting my forward graduation, I'm going to establish my initial guideline. I'm doing this by taking a small piece of hair from either side of the front hairline and cutting my shortest length. Notice I'm cutting on slight angles. This is to start the graduation shape. I'm clipping away one piece of the guideline to join to the other side, as I'm going to be working on one panel at a time. To start this cut, I'm going to be taking diagonal back sections no wider than the width of my comb. I'm choosing to use diagonal back sections for a couple of reasons. Diagonal back sections will give me the most visibility over this panel of the head. It incorporates hair from the natural part line through to the section line I've established behind the ear. A diagonal back section line also mimics the line I'm going to be cutting for my graduation. This acts as a great reference point and reminds me of the shape I need to be creating, allowing me to have maximum accuracy. I'm going to start cutting my graduation from the longest point of the hair to the shortest point. This will ensure I have maximum visibility over the angle I'm creating and allow me to adjust as I go. It's important for me to consider where I'm starting this haircut. If I start at the shortest point, I run the risk of cutting away too much hair on a shallow angle, which will reveal the jawline too much, defeating the purpose of forward graduation. Graduation is the gradual progression of length from shorter to longer. I'm combing the hair with the fine tip of the comb for maximum control. I'm allowing the roots to fall in a natural position, and I'm holding the hair with light tension. Allowing the roots to fall naturally will give the most accurate gauge on how the hair is going to look when it's dry. Moving on to the next section now, I'm sticking with the same theme of diagonal back sections no wider than the width of my comb. I choose to use sections this size because it gives me enough hair to cut for an efficient process, but it's also not too much hair that I lose visibility of my guideline. I'm going to use the hair from the previously cut section as a guide for my next section. Once again, I'm going to start cutting my graduation from the longest point of the hair to the shortest point. I'm using a shallow point cutting technique to cut my line. This is to add some softness to the edge of the graduation, as I don't want it to be too blunt and heavy. I'm also choosing to keep the head in an upright and natural position. This is generally where a client would have their head positioned most of the time, so it makes sense for me to keep the head in its natural position. Repeat this process until there is no hair left to cut. Once I have completed one side, I'm going to move on to the other side. I'm going to repeat the whole process on the other side. You'll notice that on this zone, my hand position is different from before. On the previous zone, my fingers were pointing towards the sky. This time, they are pointing towards the ground. Be mindful when holding the hair with different hand positions, as it can throw off the accuracy of the angle that you are cutting on. This type of accuracy will come with plenty of time and practice and become your natural muscle memory. Sometimes I will sit down and cut the hair. I will do this if I need more visibility when cutting a line. It also allows me to keep my posture balance, providing longevity in my career. Once I finish cutting section 1, I will check for balance before moving on. To check for balance, take a piece of hair from a similar area on both zones and make sure they meet at a similar point. Repeat this process until there is no more hair to cut. That's the wet cutting complete. You can see the forward graduation sitting below the jawline, progressing from shorter to longer. Now that the initial wet cutting is complete, I'm going to move on to the styling. I'm choosing to use my Dyson Supersonic with a gentle air attachment to rough dry the hair. I'm choosing a medium speed and a medium heat to start to reduce the dampness in the hair. Notice I am directing the hair towards the roots in the position that they are going to be styled. I'm not focusing on the ends at this point, as they are going to be brush dried for a professional finish. When the hair gets to approximately 50% dry, I'm going to switch to my concentrator nozzle and introduce a paddle brush. I'm using the paddle brush to encourage the roots to sit nice and flat in their natural position. Notice I'm still not focusing on the ends. The roots are the most important part at this point in the styling process. Repeat this technique throughout all panels of the head. If you're struggling to target the roots, I'm going to show you a technique which will help you to control the hair. I'm going to use the paddle brush to separate the hair into more manageable sections. Next, I'm going to use the little finger of the hand I'm holding the hairdryer with to hold that section of hair. You can see how this allows me to direct the air in an accurate and controlled way towards the roots. Use the paddle brush to direct the roots. Repeat until all roots around the head are dried. Once the roots have been dried and controlled, I'm going to switch from the paddle brush to a round brush. This will help me to smooth out the ends of the hair, giving it a professional finish. I've split the head into 4 zones, 2 at the front and 2 at the back. I'm going to take sections no wider than the width of my brush and blow dry the mid-lengths and ends of each section to a smooth, shiny finish. I've decided to put the hairdryer on full speed for this part, but still using a medium heat. This will allow me to efficiently dry the hair while keeping it in optimal condition. Much like when I cut the hair, I'm blow drying in more manageable panels, one in the center and one on either side. Notice that I'm not allowing the nozzle to touch the surface of the hair. I'm relying on the airflow and the brush to do the work for me. This will also enable optimal hair condition. Repeat this process until the back panels are complete. Moving on to the front now, I'm going to use sections very similar to how I cut the hair. I'm choosing to use diagonal back sections no wider than the width of my brush. This allows me to have maximum control over each section and achieve a professional finish. It's important to take your time here and allow the hair to fully dry and smooth out. You'll notice that I'm over-directing the sections to the front of the head. This will give some extra movement to the hair and add to the forward graduation effect. As I approach the end of the hair, I'm taking some time to roll the brush and create some bend on the ends of the hair. Much like the over-direction, this will only add to the forward graduation and encourage it to sit under the jawline. You can see from this angle that I'm directing the hair down towards the ground. This is because I don't want any volume in the hair. The higher you elevate the hair, the more volume you will get when you're blow drying. Repeat this process until there is no hair left to dry. Once the blow dry is complete, I'm going to move on to the refinery stage. I believe all great haircuts need a little bit of refinery, so it's important not to skip this bit. Assessing the hair in its natural fall, I'm looking out for any missed bits of hair or any imbalances in the line. I'm combing the hair with the wide teeth of the comb to move the hairs slightly so I can get the best overall reading. The aim here isn't to change the line, but to refine and balance the line to be as precise and balanced as possible. And there we have it, a haircut incorporating forward graduation.